Welcome back all, and welcome to any new viewers to the channel. My name's Sam, and this is my Nicholson 32 Stowaway, which I'm currently restoring down in Suffolk, UK. She's a 1964 Mark III Nicholson, and in quite a bit of need of a paint job, which I've been working on. Getting really frustrating now. At least when it isn't raining. That is. Just the rain showers coming through now and then is really annoying. If you're thinking about buying a boat, then don't watch this because it'll just put you off for life. All that said, it's quite a satisfying job, to be honest, working on your own boat. And finally we get on the deck with some deck paint, so I hope you enjoy this video. Ah, this beautiful boat next to Stowaway, currently being worked on, having the decks redone. Built 2004, so yeah, about 50 years newer than Stowaway, would you believe it? But you can still have these made at King's if you really want one of these. It's absolutely amazing. Lovely bowsprit on that. Yeah, put your order in. Works are continuing, and I have taken off the companion hatch cover, filling in some of the holes from the spray hood. I wouldn't normally use epoxy with filler. I'd use just gel coat, but I think it's probably just a little bit more, kind of gives it a bit more strength. There's also a big sort of indentation on the hull that I had to grind or sand away because there's quite a lot of delamination in one area for some reason. It was a bit strange. Quite a lot of cracks in the sliding companion hatch, which I've just put some epoxy filler into the cracks and over the top, so that will be sanded off smooth and flat when that's set. You can just see here how nice that gel coat. So there's the hatch cover sort of over here, and I removed it yesterday. But this is the gel coat, original gel coat. It's actually in really good condition. Obviously been completely protected from the ultraviolet, so it was never affected, and actually the rest of the deck was. But yeah, that's the repair job that I've just had to do this morning. Quite a large area that had to shallow out. Likewise, there's another one just over there, which is all done. So once this is set, I'm gonna sand these off. So the rails actually look pretty good condition. Sunday afternoon, and I've just finished the 4th weekend of full weekend, that is, of working on this boat deck. I've now, you can't see it because the fenders are in the way, but the deck has been stripped all the way back. Had to work around here a lot with the small little Diddy belt sander. We're getting really close now. The fore hatch needs just a little bit more work. There's a bit just under the tow rail over there which I need to do, which isn't going to take very long at all. And then just this side of the cabin sole is the final section to do, and obviously just to sand off. Well, I've done a terrible job of filling those holes, but I haven't got my a very good filling knife or filling spatula, if you like. So the wind's getting up pretty bad. I have to watch it on the way home, I think. But the rain has stayed away until about now. It's just started to rain again. So the top deck, it's worth noting, the top deck has been really badly affected by the UVs. There's been a lot of cracked sort of gel coat, which was never faired off, never sanded off previously. This has been a hell of an experience sanding this back. It's like you're sort of seeing bits and pieces the condition of the deck as you're going along and getting a real idea about just the real state of it, to be honest. But I'm so glad this job is coming to a close now. I mean, obviously now we're looking at prepping the surface, filling all the little gunk holes. Some of the areas of gel coat is sort of like bubbled a little bit and then popped to sort of leave holes there. So that's what we're sort of doing, is just going over that with some filler and sanding that back, and then we could start looking, thinking about primer. I might go over the deck again with sort of like a slightly fairer grit sandpaper, just like a 180 or something, sort of just a once over on the main edges, just to kind of give the primer that surface that it really needs to get set away. So you wouldn't have thought it'd be too difficult to take a hatch off, but that was pretty difficult. This is the foredeck hatch opening. While I was sanding, I did notice that the forward section of this hatch, where this wood section meets, was rotten. So I've fabbed up a new section to go into the front, and I'll show you in a minute exactly what that looks like. But the most important thing is that it's not too thick, that it rises or increases the height of the forward end of the hatch above the actual lip where the rubber seal is. Also, I've got to take this off because you see all the paint around here needs to come off, and it's going to be almost impossible to remove this paint with the hatch in place. Obviously anything like this to replace is going to be a bit expensive. A new hatch, you can get the new Lumar hatches and stuff like that, Houdinis. You're looking at 500-600 quid for something this size. So and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. I might just put maybe a piece of perspex over the top, but I think that might just be just to let a bit of natural light in, but I think that might just be taking a bit sort of, well, of the structural gains out of it. So it will stay as is, I think, for the time being. It's a fantastic hatch, really nice, big heavy thing. So yeah, and I've sanded most of it down, and the GRP doesn't look too bad. Just need to take the rest of the paint off and just fill in, repair as required. What on earth is going on? This is March the 9th, and I had the hatch open last night, and it's bone dry, perfect painting weather. We're not quite there yet though. Look at this, what are we now? 8:30 in the morning. We've only just come into spring, and it feels like we're very close to the start of the season. I suppose some people have already launched, but I've got still quite a bit of work to do. As you can see, it's more like a workshop than a boat at the minute. The things are coming together. This weather isn't going to be hanging around though. Next week we have got sort of back to more March kind of weather, sort of down to 5 degrees, 6 degrees again. But yeah, I'm hoping to at least get some primer on ready for the top coat. We can check out the surface, what that looks like with the primer on. Just working on this at the minute and trying to get this off. It's a bit of a pain again. The components of the hatch had been, well, either screwed or bolted together with some bonding glue, and as a result over the years it had slowly started to come apart. My intention for the new sill and the hinge sort of mantle, if you like, was to bond it all with West Systems epoxy with a 407 hardener, 407 filler even. I think there's about 75 grams of West Systems in here, and it's surprising again, and I'll keep saying this every time, surprising how much of the filler you actually need. It looks like it's on fire there, it's not. It's just the fineness of the dust powder you put it in. A little bit runny to begin with, You want it a bit more like kind of peanut butter, chunky peanut butter, and then it holds everything together really well. It doesn't run everywhere and cause an absolute mess.
That's where you want it. You can work that a bit better. The forward hatch, the epoxy is set on that now, so that is rock solid. Just fill in some of the holes with epoxy and then sanding that flat, so that's looking great. Yeah, this section where the hinge was, I've epoxied that in. I've not drilled the hole through it with the bolts as before, so that is probably a little bit more stronger than it was before. It was wobbling around quite a bit before, so yeah, it just helps the hinge a little bit. Making really good progress today. A lot done in terms of filling and fairing. The forward deck is kind of complete now. Just been I loaded some of the gaps up with epoxy filler this morning, and yeah, just need to go over and sand that off. But this whole deck is going to need a really good scrub down and clean before I put the first coat on, so, and that will hopefully be in the afternoon tomorrow. Some of the hatches I took downstairs, and I've just put this one on because I'm staying on board overnight, and but unfortunately it's just cracked again. As I went to go push it forward, I just had this crack, so it needs a little bit more work, probably some fiberglass glass mat just along the bottom there, just to strengthen it a bit before painting. Finally, it was time to start thinking about getting some primer on, and obviously the deck is still pretty filthy. It's had quite a few weeks of sanding. Just using a very, very light solution of fairy liquid and getting that all washed off really thoroughly with a low pressure hose. I'm using a 2-part epoxy primer, high builder primer for the deck. Obviously this stuff needs a good mix up before you start using it. All that heavy paint just sits at the bottom. It's actually quite a job even for the drill paddle to properly mix it up, so you have to go a bit slow to begin with, and eventually it just mixes it up really well. I never mix up on the deck. I was thinking about mixing in the cockpit, and then I thought, if I spill this, even if I had a load of cardboard down, if I spill it everywhere, it's going to be the biggest mess ever, and yeah, a lot of cleaning up to do. So mix everything downstairs and kind of bring it onto the deck in small pots, just in case there is a drop, and then it wouldn't be too bad. Right. You could probably have pots with the lids on. That probably would be a wiser idea, but I didn't have any of them, so I just kind of got on with it. Just careful. To make sure I didn't end up marooning myself onto a patch of non-painted area, and having to perform some sort of weird yoga maneuver to get me to the cockpit again. You start at the front and work your way back evenly across the deck. Not using any roller, I'm just putting this stuff on with a paintbrush. And the reason for that is because using a roller is quite thin, so you have to apply additional coats to get the thickness up.
But with the paintbrush, you can really lay it on thick and it doesn't sag or anything. If it's a nice warm day, the surface temperature is going to be quite high. So even at sort of 30 to 40% thinned, this stuff is going to go off almost sort of within the first 30 seconds of putting it on. So you do have to be, I suppose, quite careful and also quite quick with how you put it on and quickly get any lines out, because it soon starts to go a bit sort of tough. It takes a little bit of practice, but you do get used to it over a short period of time.
Oh, it's been a really cold night. My oil radiator just it switched off at about 3 o'clock this morning, because the coin ran out in the meter, and it was down to about 1 degree last night. So that is not the sort of sleeping bag. This is not the sort of sleeping bag for 0 degree almost weather. So yeah, to shut that door because the hatch is currently open. I've got that downstairs, just about to do stuff to it. So yeah, it was pretty cold this morning. We've got probably about 10 hours before quite a large band of rain starts. So I'm gonna and it's gonna stay around about 5-6 degrees all day. So I'm gonna mix up some of the low temperature additive into the primer, and agitate that up with the drill and the Michelin paddle. So I'm gonna carry on putting on that first coat of primer, moving to the back end of the boat now. We're sort of halfway there. I've just got to mask up some of the bits and pieces around the on the coach roof, and then I'm going to start moving on with that. Hailstorm. Sort of masking off going on, just working sort of more towards the mid section of the cabin now. The forward end I've kind of done a bit of a cheeky one and just put a double coat around the where I had the rails masked off. I was going to remove that side, but I've just noticed that some of the paint on the deck is still quite a little bit soft, and I have just made one mark with I'll put my foot down. I'll leave that for now. I don't really want to do too much marking on the deck. This side I rollered the deck, so it was actually a bit thinner, but as I mentioned, with the paintbrush it's quite thick, so it's probably taking a little longer to dry. But I've just finished masking off this section, and I will try and get this on while we've still got some dry weather. I'll put the canvas over because it's not too bad at the minute, and it's like a bit of a greenhouse in here. I just need to be aware of the vapours and stuff. I've got my mask on, so yeah, I'll put my mask on while I'm doing that, and yeah, we should make some hopefully decent progress before the end of the day. It was really cold last night, and I think temperatures are meant to get down to about 1 degree again tonight. So yeah, it's just a sort of need to bear in mind. One thing I am going to have to do is I'm going to almost definitely need some more primer, because I'm already halfway through that tub and I've only done half the deck, which is incredible really. Anything with having a plastic cover is my hair is just creating a massive static feel throughout my whole body, and like, yeah, keeps sparking things, make my hair stand on end. Leave that. I got there in the end.
So one area of the boat that I really was totally perplexed about was this area on the transom. While I was sanding it a couple of months back, I noticed that the sort of whole deck started bouncing up and down, sort of quite a big area of delamination just in one area. and the only thing I can think of was that someone had a barbecue or something at some point, sat there in a bucket or whatever, and it wasn't protected enough. So yeah, basically I had to grind all the sort of top layer of the GRP off, and sort of re-glass in a patch to kind of make that good. Otherwise, the epoxy primer was just going to sink in through the existing strand mat, and yeah, just not bond and make a decent surface. So this is 450 g chop strand mat, quite cheap to be honest. I just cut a sort of size to fit. Unfortunately, the weather was extremely hit and miss that day.
Oh, I give up. Getting really frustrating now. Really do with just getting off some work today. The rain keeps coming in droves. It's not exactly damp. It's not like there's a high moisture. It's just the rain showers coming through now and then is really annoying, because you kind of get the false sense of security that you can start doing some work, and then it just absolutely hammers it down again. Well, this is getting pretty hopeless now. I think I'm going to go indoors now and do some indoor jobs. Well, I've just started sanding down some of the woodwork, which is coming along quite nicely. Not too much sanding, just using a bit of 40 grit and then some 240, and getting that all looking nice, so that's not doing too bad. Actually, probably work around here and just do this bit today. They never even forecast this today. Said it wasn't going to be a dry day, but yeah, I'm not going to be doing any painting today, that's for definite. The joys of polyester resin. Quite a lot quicker setting than epoxy. I've just put about 250 grams down on this section of chopped strand mat. This is 450 grade, so it's quite a lot to absorb. So I've just laid down the resin first, and then put the or laid down the resin and then the mat, and then just poured on. What you tend to do is put the mat onto a plastic sheet first, put the resin on, and then lay it down. But yeah, I haven't got any plastic sheets, so I'm just doing it this way, and I think that's working out nicely. I'm just keeping an eye on it, because I did put a bit more additive in than for that weight, but it is very, very cold at the minute. So what I tend to find sometimes is it needs a little bit more additive just to get it sort of activated, if you like. If you put too much in and it's very warm, it can ignite, so you need to be a bit more careful with polyester resin. Put about 5 ml in for 250 grams, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. So it's been a couple of days. I've just had a day off because it was freezing yesterday, and yeah, probably wouldn't have got much painting done. The area which I've repaired with polyester has gone off unbelievably, and it's nice and hard now. So this area is now nice and strong. Well, that's all set anyway, so I just need to now sand this all off so it's nice and flat, get rid of all this extra resin which was poured on. It's actually laid up quite well. The chop strand has absorbed all that. By the looks of it, it's just a few little places, but nothing much. So yeah, let's get the sander on it and get that nice and flat.
Today is the second coat day, and I'm just going to go and sand the deck down with some, I think 180 grit, just the areas where I've filled in. We've got temperatures up to 15 degrees today, so I am going to crack on with this. Give it a wipe down with some little bit of fresh water around the sides. Might just put the spray on it, let it dry out, and then get on with some second primer. So I didn't get any footage of the second coat going on, mainly because I suddenly ran into issues with my GoPro, but that got sorted, and this is me putting on the third coat, which was a couple of days later. Just applying it with brush just the same as before, and working backwards. The weather is much more stable now, you're getting full days of good weather, which was really helping in longer days as well, so it just gives that extra time for the paint to go off before the at night, for the evenings when the dew point starts to having a possible effect on the surface, which is definitely not what you want after covering the deck in quite expensive paint. You're probably wondering why I'm not using a larger paintbrush. Well, even though you've got quite large areas, you've also got quite a lot of small areas and nooks and crannies to work around. With this paint, you can't really carry two paintbrushes, because if you start using one and then you switch to the other, by the time you've gone back to the other one again, all the paint has almost gone dry on it, so you need to carry around a pot of thinner as well, I think. And I just found it easier to just do the Foredeck with the larger area with a larger brush, and then everything else is just this one. It's a lot easier. It's a little bit tricky taking footage of all of this. I mean, I would have probably liked to take a bit more, just like where I was working around the areas, but I'll be honest, yeah, I just didn't want to get my GoPro absolutely covered in white primer paint. I would never be able to get it clean. So yeah, I hope you appreciate that. It probably wasn't the easiest job in the world to do. Nice. So that's it. I've just finished painting, or priming even, the deck. Not the best conditions to be doing this in, to be honest. Even though it's warm, it's quite windy, so I'm getting the odd kamikaze bug landing and just like creating a load of like little indentations on the deck, but eventually they stop and you can just ping them off later on. Very satisfying indeed. So yeah, I'm going to let this all dry. It's going to take no time at all to dry off, and then give it a day or two, and then sand over the whole thing with about 180 grit, or maybe even 240, and then I'll be looking at getting the top coat on. We're getting very close now. Happy days.